Hey guys, Matt here with the Outer Rim, bringing you round 3 of this week's once again special edition of the Thursday night Kessel Run tournament, where we pit a veteran up against one of our newer players. For round 3 here, we've got Matthew on the left playing Iden Mother with Armored Reinforcement, up against Kenny once again with his Gungan deck. Just had the roll off. Looks like Matthew won the roll off. He will take the Weapons Factory Alpha. Now, different than Steven's deck last week, which ran the Dooku Sailor, has his vehicle of choice. Matthew's going to be running the Arc Starfighter as the primary vehicle. The first thing he does is use the Armored Reinforcement. He's going to dig. He'll only have to pay 1 for that between the Weapons Factory and Armored Reinforcement. Alright, Kenny will roll out. Gets a resource on the Gungan. Matthew, go ahead and play Partnership now. Allows him to activate a character and a support. He can pay 1 for an additional action. So Mother rolls out a 1 range and a 1 resource. He'll use Mother's ability to focus that to a 2 range. Rolls out the Starfighter, gets a blank. He can still pay 1 to take an additional action. Looks like he chooses not to. He's going to go ahead and pass. Kenny will roll out Jar Jar. That'll force Matthew to re-roll. So Jar Jar rolls a discard and a disrupt. On the re-roll, the Gungan rolls a shield. Matt rolls a shield or focus and a resource. Matthew will pay 1 for the DH-17. Put that on Iden. Matthew running that beautiful alt art Iden. Thanks to Monk's Gaming Battlefield for that. That's a beautiful, beautiful alt art, if I do say so myself. And we will roll out Iden. It's a +2 on the DH-17, a resource, and a discard. Kenny rolls out Boss Nass. He rolls a blank. That'll be an indirect. Throw that on Iden. Probably see a discard or reroll here by Matthew. Both characters' dice are all out in the pool now. Yep, fumble on the play. There's a reroll. Get a 1 range, a 1 range, a blank, a 3 indirect on the Arc Starfighter, and a discard on Iden. Kenny will pay 1 for Dumb Luck. Once again, it allows him to reroll up to 5 Gungan dice. Deal indirect for the number of blanks showing. There's an indirect. Matthew puts that on Mother. Going to resolve the 3 indirect. That'll probably 1 on each of the characters minus Boss Nass, which it is. There's a Boomas in Kenny's hand. Couldn't quite see what else. Looks like a first aid, maybe. Kenny, I know, digs for that first aid. Usually try turn 1. Puts a lot of damage on one of his red characters so he can use the ability to heal 4 in the first round. Kenny will resolve the resource on Jar Jar to gain 1. Matthew will put 4 into Boss Nass. 2 on the shields, 2 on that. There's a locked and loaded to turn 2 dice. I don't know that I would have turned the Jar Jar dice. I think I would have turned one of the Gungan dice. It's an extra indirect, and Jar Jar's is... it's not appealing. Okay, so yeah, Matthew's gonna let Kenny take that back. I think that's a smart play on both guys' end. It's a learning opportunity here for both guys. That'll be additional damage for Kenny when it comes up. Get a re-roll by Matthew. Get a 2 range and a discard. Iden wants to discard one of those cards. There's 6 indirect. 3 and 3 onto each of the Matthew's characters. Matthew will deal 2 to boss. There's the 1 to pay the 4. Or to heal 4, excuse me. Matthew will discard a card. Gets rid of the Vandalize. Kenny likes to use that Vandalize. He has enough character dice. He could get rid of a Fist if he wanted to. One of the only groupings that can actually get rid of a Fist with a Vandalize. So Kenny will claim the battlefield, and we will move on to round 2. Kenny able to do 8 total damage. Matthew did about 10 with the 2 shields plus the 4 into boss, but with Kenny's healing ability using first aid. Boss is clean now. I'll get round 2 started here. Gungan's going to roll out and get a shield. Matthew will roll out his Arc Starfighter. 3 indirect. Kenny rolls out and gets a 1 melee. Both these guys play really fast. I have to say, I have to do a lot of studying before this match so I can try to make sure I keep up with the pace of play these guys like to play. There's 3 indirect resolve from Matthew. 1 goes into boss and 1 into each of the other Gungans. Boss Nass will roll out. There's an indirect. Matthew will take it on Mother. Matthew doing the smart play finally. Making Jar Jar roll out before he rolls out any dice. Jar Jar rolls out a discard and a shield. Forces Kenny to reroll his other dice. It's a 2 indirect and a blank. So now Matthew, can roll out both of his characters without worrying, having to reroll based on Jar Jar. Matthew rolls out, gets a discard. Gets a 2 range, a blank, and a blank. Kenny tapping that Gungan offensive. Looks like he wants to try to play that. And he does. He's going to pay 2. Allows him to change any Gungan die to indirect. The Gungans are definitely the most thematic deck. I think Han Kira would probably second. But the Gungans just have so many cards that mesh well together and allow for rerolls, allow for changing dice. So Matthew will pay 1. He'll go ahead and just take the 2 indirect off of Boss Nass. There's 1, 3. There's 5 more indirect. 3 goes into Iden. And 2 goes into Mother. And with only 1 Jar Jar in the pool left, that will not kill Mother this round. So Matthew will roll out Mother. It's a 1 focus and a blank. He's going to turn it. Turns it, gets to the 2 range now. It's hard to see Matthew's cards because they're up at the top. But I think Matthew only runs maybe 1 or 2 even cards, if any. Get a discard from Kenny here to reroll. Gets a shield. That's not a bad play. So Matthew will resolve 4 into the 1 Gungan. Kenny takes a shield, puts it on boss. Matthew's got a probe in hand. Going to discard all in to reroll. There's a resource, a blank, and a 2 range on Iden. Kenny goes ahead and claims. Matthew's going to pay 1 for Witch Magic. It's a 4 solution, and add odds, and a tactical mastery. That'll heal 3. He'll do that on Mother. So Matthew's showing 2 here. Question is, does he decide he wants to go ahead and re-roll one of his other 2 cards and try to kill off another character? So he discards a Vigilance to re-roll. No, he hits the 2 pay 1 on the blaster, but he can't pay for it. Gets a 1 on Mother. He's going to discard. Trying for max damage. Ooh, hits it. Hits the max damage. So he's got A 2, a 1, a +2. It's going to be 4. That'll kill a Gungan. And then 1, he'll probably pop onto the shield. Yep. And just like that, 2 Gungans are down and out, with Jar Jar and Boss Nass left. Matthew killed 3 that last round, so Mother is at 5 health remaining, and Iden is also at 5 health remaining. Currently, the most damage per round that Kenny can do is 4 indirect, or if he plays his specialty card on the mark, he can deal 4 direct. So we'll hop on into round 3. Boss Nass rolls out a 2 indirect. There's half that damage already. Matthew will force Jar Jar to roll out. Jar Jar rolls out a discard and a shield. Rerolls the boss die, which rolls a blank. There's a dumb luck. Reroll. Get 2 blanks. That's 2 indirect. Puts that on Mother. Gets a disrupt as well off of Jar Jar. Matthew will activate the arc. Rolls a blank. Kenny will discard to re-roll. Gets a blank and looks like 2 disrupts off of Jar Jar. Matthew will pay 1 for a tactical mastery. Spot a red character to perform up to 2 actions. He'll activate Mother. Mother rolls out a 1 focus and a 2 range. He's going to use the ability on Mother to turn the arc to a 2 range. That's 4. He'll put 4 into Boss Nass. Puts him at 4 health remaining. Kenny pays 1 for a first aid. And because it's after the first round, he can only heal 2 from a red character. So Boss down to 6 health now. Matthew will activate Iden. There's a 2 range, a resource, and a blank. Kenny immediately uses Carabas to move 3 damage from Boss to Jar Jar. Matthew will use the focus. Get a reroll here from Kenny. Get a discard, a disrupt, and a 2 indirect on Boss. So Matthew will play Overconfidence. Oh, he's going to use it on one of his own dice. Alright, so we get a focuser on Boss and a 1 discard on Iden. Because it's a tie, the player playing the card gets to choose. So Matthew will remove Boss's die, of course. Kenny will use a discard. Discard the at odds from Matthew. Matthew immediately just pops the 3 left into Jar Jar. It's all down to Boss. It's a discard from Matthew. And that's it. Kenny went ahead and claimed. No cards for him to discard. Move on to round 4. Matthew have 2 resources. Kenny also has 2 resources. Kenny pays 2 for the Senate Chamber. I'll have some focus. I think it's going to be a little too late for that. It'll help him to change a die on Matthew's end if he needs to. So Matthew pays 1 for the dorsal turret. That allows him to roll it in. Rolls out a blank. Senate Chamber rolls out. Hits a 2 focus. Once again, with only boss die, the Senate Chamber die is going to be more used for the power action now, I would assume. Matthew will roll out Mother. Nope. Change of heart. Rolls out Iden instead. So he gets a 2 range, a blank, and a shield on the blaster pistol. Kenny plays an on the mark, which will only be 2. 2 direct. Matthew plays probe, gets rid of an easy pickings there. Boss Nass will roll out. It's a resource. I think Matthew has so many dice out of the pool now, he's going to be able to pretty much control the rest of this game. It'll take at least 2 turns for Kenny to kill Mother. I think Matthew's going to activate Mother. He does. Ew. Hits the money pot. A 2 range and a 2 range. He's going to flip the dorsal to a +2. That'll let him pop all that damage into boss and then re-roll the dorsal turret out once you activate the arc. So Kenny decides to use the focus instead to change bosses to a 2 indirect, which in this case with on the mark will be 2 range now. I think he's going to pop that into Mother if able. So Matthew pays 1 for Glancing Shot, the new version of Pin Down, in my opinion. So he can resolve a die showing range, decreasing it by 1 to remove a die. So he shoots him for 1. Kenny will pass. There's 6 damage off Matthew. The arc activates. We get 2 blanks. Matthew will discard the droid to re-roll. Yep, there's enough damage. Good game, well played by Kenny and Matthew. We will move on and see you guys shortly for round 4. Thanks again for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe.